Welcome back to the New Jersey Meadowlands. Time for the starting lineups, and we turn it over to Mr. Frank Fallon.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Meadowlands for tonight's NCAA National Championship game between the Syracuse Orangemen and the Kentucky Wildcats. And now let's meet the starting lineups. For Syracuse at forward, a 6'7" sophomore from Detroit, Michigan, number 30, Todd Bergen. For Kentucky at forward, a 6'4" junior from Louisville, Kentucky, number 23, Derek Anderson. For Syracuse at forward, a 6'8" senior from Rochester, New York, number 44, John Wallace. For Kentucky at forward, a 6'8" sophomore from Chicago, Illinois, number 24, Antoine Walker. For Syracuse at center, a 6'8" junior from White Plains, New York, number 4, Otis Hill. For Kentucky at forward, a 6'10" senior from Evansville, Indiana, number 40, Walter McCarty. For Syracuse at guard, a 6'7" junior from Woodland, New York, number 35, Jason Cipolla. For Kentucky at guard, a 6'1" senior from Brownsville, Tennessee, number 00, Tony Dell. For Syracuse at guard, a 6'4" senior from Syracuse, New York, number 3, Lazarus Sims. And for Kentucky at guard, a 6'2" junior from Lebanon, Kentucky, number 25, Anthony Epps. And the coaches for Syracuse in his 20th season, Jim Boeheim. For Kentucky in his 7th season, Rick Pitino.
All right, Professor Packers, time for your game analysis, things to watch in this championship game.
Boy, so many tonight, Jim, but we're going to lead off with a couple that get you the heat of the night, and that's the Kentucky press. Can Syracuse withstand this pressure from so many different angles? Sims is the key man here. The dazzling dozen. Jim, somebody's got to give a name to this Kentucky team. You know, they've had Rupp's runts, and they've had the Fab Five. I'm going to give them the dazzling dozen because that bench scoring in minutes is so important to Kentucky. The third thing coming up, the meat hook. I'm talking about Dimitri Hill, not Otis Hill. He had 29 points and 10 rebounds against this Kentucky team. They're very similar in style. Can Otis duplicate that performance? It's important inside, and loose as a goose. Now that's the difference in the mental philosophy of these two teams. Syracuse, extremely loose. Kentucky is likewise. But I think if Syracuse can stay in this game as long as possible, maybe that ultimate pressure will finally phase Kentucky. So far, they've shown no signs of it. But if this game is tight down the wire, believe me, they'll start thinking about it.
Rick Pitino's first championship game. Jim Boeheim's second. He was there in '87, only to fall to a Keith Smart shot at the buzzer.
I'll make the prediction, Jim. This will not be their last national championship game.
John Clockerty, Scott Thornley, David Libby draw the choice assignment.
Wallace has been getting every tip on people. Still got it.
Last touch by Wallace, Kentucky ball.
Right off his foot. We had two beautifully officiated games Saturday. Let's hope these guys have as good a success. And there's the 2-3 zone, Jim. Walker in the middle is the answer.
He'll take the turnaround and come up shy right away. Syracuse ball. This 2-3 zone vaunted during the NCAA tournament.
And Jim, you're going to see Kentucky start inside, then work out, as opposed to what Mississippi State did Saturday.
Cipola's pass deflected, but back to him. Here's Hill. They'll double him up. What a first half he had Saturday.
What a tournament he's had. He's been outstanding.
Ahead to Delp.
Could have been
no
steps.
travel. No travel. That pass, though, into the arms of Boeheim.
Well, he almost made it to a Final Four in '66 as a player with Dave Bing. Got knocked off by Duke. Pretty good catch by a man who had a great senior year.
He came to Syracuse, did Boeheim as a walk-on, left as a co-captain with Bing, and 30 years ago they lost to Duke in the East Final to get to the Final Four.
Now here, Walker on Wallace. Wallace really can handle the ball in the open court, probably be the secondary ball handler for this team. Sims obviously the primary guy on Delk.
Wallace steps in, travel. He's looking around. What?
Might have been a little makeup. He traveled the first time and it was missed, so he get caught on the second.
He thought maybe he was heading to the free throw line. These teams played last year at Rupp Arena. Kentucky won 77-71 in an error-marred game. Walker baseliner. And Sims with the board. Syracuse racing into the front court.
Anderson doing a lot of hand checking.
Reach it in. Anderson. Billy, when these two played last year, phenomenal number of turnovers in that game. Again, only a 6-point win by Kentucky on its home floor, forcing 33 Syracuse turnovers. Syracuse hasn't had that many in a game since, and for that matter, Kentucky had 25 turnovers. They haven't matched that since. Wallace gets it back, though, and there you go. John Wallace gets the game's first bucket.
Now there's the power, the combination of Wallace and Hill. If Kentucky does have a weakness, it's an interior strength.
Out to Sapola. And Kentucky with a shaky start, misfiring.
That Sims must have eyes in the back of his head. You know, a lot of guys chase him down, but he always seems to get by him.
Another traveling call on the Orangeman.
Here, Wallace on the inside. Excellent move. Got by with a little swim stroke there. Gets it back. Nobody going on the boards to check him out. He's too strong a player to let have his way inside.
Mark Pope has come in for Kentucky.
Pitino right away says, I need a little bit more weight down in low against those two fellas.
So got Walker, who missed a couple of shots.
That extra pass by Kentucky, so important. Matching up out front.
Epps stepped in, then dished out. Delk three, rattles it in.
Bergen went right for Delk's waist, but shows the concentration that Delk has on the shot. He kept his eye right on target. Terrific shooter. Sims uses his wide body, too, as a dribbler, Jim. Constantly keeping his body between himself and the man guarding him.
Bergen drives, then dishes, and a turnover. Remember, Syracuse on Saturday committed only 5 for the game, and 2 of them were in the last minute. They've already had 3 here, Billy, in the game's first 2.5.
Well, consider the opponent as well. Kentucky will turn it over. Make it turn it over constantly. Now, they're not putting a man on the foul line like they had with Walker at the start of the game. Something I'm expecting them to deploy early.
Eric Anderson missing. Ball tipped around back to Epps, who will reset.
Syracuse not a great rebounding team out of this zone, even though they've got size back there.
Bouncing it in to Pope. Almost lost it.
Beautiful interior passing.
McCarty, Anderson missing a lay-in. Second try, and Hill gets the grasp.
Kentucky is good an interior passing team as you're going to see. Look at Anderson, as quick as he is.
Yeah, Pitino helped them make the call. It was right in front of the Kentucky bench. A push-off on Sims.
Now, Sims, as I said, likes to use his body to keep the defender away. Anderson staying right with him, and they called that a little push-off, kind of a touch. Probably the fact that Sims is so much heavier just knocked Anderson back. Jim Boeheim wanting to work these officials a little bit. Wise move on his part.
Antoine Walker back in, Anderson out.
Obviously, he cannot afford the fouls.
There he is, Walker on the baseline. He got the pass.
Jimmy, that's the play against the 2-3. Get it in the center and operate.
Sapola looked at the hole for a moment. They brought in Ron Mercer, freshman number 33 for Kentucky.
And here's where Kentucky is very underrated. Their half-court defensive sets.
Too strong, and Walker
Maybe a little bit too excited there. Didn't have a good touch on the shot. Mercer, who had the great game on Saturday and not many minutes played, but came in for important field goals.
Yep, big minutes. 9 points for the freshman. Sapola with the steal. Sims looks up for it, but no one there. Sapola setting up. Got the feet planted. Three-pointer. Too long. 5-2 Kentucky. 4.5 into the game. Only a Wallace putback for the Orangemen so far.
There's the spot that makes the zone adjust. Anytime they get the ball on the foul line, Syracuse has to make big adjustments.
And Delk hits his second three-pointer. Bergen pass deflected, but Wallace able to get it across just in time. Hill in the paint. Sapola for two. Good passing by Syracuse.
An excellent hesitation by Sapola. Sapola's biggest game, he had 25 here in the Meadowlands against Seton Hall, so he has to feel comfortable here.
Delk travel.
Now, Tony Delk loves that jump move. Didn't get away with it there. Jim, here is the hole where the opening is available. Now watch what's going to happen. Kentucky comes inside, and then they work outside, and Hill has to make the adjustment. Watch how Kentucky deploys. Man comes up in the open area. Good bounce pass. Too late for Syracuse to adjust. And I believe Kentucky will wear that out until the Syracuse zone 2-3 becomes a 2-1-2.
J.B. Reef-Snyder has come in for Syracuse, number 32, and Jeff Shepard on the ball right now for Kentucky, number 15. They double up Bergen. They got a 2-on-1 at this end. Sapola will challenge. Now kick it back out.
Sapola should have passed that ball as soon as he touched it. They had a nice 2-on-1 opportunity for a layup.
Sapola takes the three. And Shepard. Bergen reached in, knocked it out. Kentucky ball. Kentucky 33-2 on the year, while Syracuse 29-8.
Jim, one of the things Syracuse probably does as well as anybody, because they're good overall team size, is they'll throw the ball over the top of a press. And they've been doing it pretty effectively, but not finishing on the other end.
Anderson steps in. Shepard does as well.
Keep trying to go inside out.
Walker and Wallace with the long rebound. Sims broke early. Ahead to Bergen. What do they call it? They're going charge. Charge on Bergen.
Now here is where fouls really can hurt Syracuse. It can make that bench so short. Good hit ahead. Bergen needed to stop. Shepard did a great job getting back on defense.
McCarty in for Kentucky.
Reef-Snyder down in the hole now.
Billy, you saw it. They've already matched the number of turnovers they committed on Saturday against Mississippi State.
Credit Kentucky for a lot of it.
Mercer, two-pointer. Wallace, good hold of that rebound.
Sapola is releasing early out of the 2-3 zone, meaning his area will not be very good for rebounding, but he may get an easy one.
Wallace likes it at the top of the key. And he gives Walker a little stare, doesn't he?
I guarantee you, he has developed that part of his game just beautifully this year.
Walker, McCarty.
How about those hands? What are those hands on Anderson, just slashing on in there. And here comes the wave from the dazzling dozen.
Pope, Epps, Delk. All back in for Kentucky.
And it makes no difference, Jim, what alignment they put out there. Mercer thought he was still in there.
It looks like they have 6 on the floor sometime.
I guarantee it'd be a good way to practice against them, the way they cover the court.
Look at Anderson give it up. Pope short. And Bergen battling on the boards.
That's the one area where Syracuse does have depth, and that is with Hill and Reef-Snyder.
Now a 6th turnover for Syracuse. Epps with the numbers. They left him alone. Pope, he'll take a 3.
A little bit too anxious is Kentucky. They've got to get settling down in their half-court set. Ill-advised shot like that has very little offensive rebounding potential.
Bergen 3 for the lead.
Jim Bergen really had the big game against Mississippi State, not only from the outside where he was 6 for 11, 19 points, 7 rebounds, solid.
Delp to get it back. Yes.
The player of the year in the SEC is pretty solid too, isn't he?
He's knocked down 3 threes already.
There's the double.
Delp with a 2-on-1. Anderson back to TD. Oh, look at this passing. And one.
Jim, before this season started, Rick Pitino says, I know that I have the best players I've ever coached. I don't know if I have the best team I've ever coached. I think that's an example of how well he's coached players to become a team. Look at this beautiful handling back and forth.
And that's the second on Sims, player that Syracuse cannot afford to lose.
Well, Sims has got to understand and recognize that the trap is coming and get rid of that ball. He has a tendency to want to dribble through traps, and with Kentucky, that's almost impossible.
So Anderson, after the great passing between Anderson and Delp, gives Kentucky the lead 14-10. Delp with 9 already. We'll be right back. Well, this is an impossible ticket at the Meadowlands, but ironically we have the two teams that went 1-2 in a total attendance figure this year, or average attendance. Kentucky won the title, Syracuse second.
There's that business of going over the top, but very dangerous with the quickness.
Anderson picked it off, and he gets it right back from Ennis.
There it is, Jim, turning defense into offense by the same man.
And this was always the scary part. The last 2 days, everyone talked about it. Would Syracuse cave in to this full court pressure? This time they beat it. But come up empty.
Every dribble seems like an experience unto itself, doesn't it, against that press?
Delp got it off the hip. And Reed Snyder fouled by Anderson.
That's Anderson's second, is that right?
Yep. Number 2.
Of course, that doesn't bother Rick Pitino. He can look down there on that bench and slide somebody in. And here comes Mercer. Now, Mercer earned playing time last week, Jim. You can see how Rick Pitino, with his professional background as a coach, knows how to split these minutes. I think that was invaluable experience he had with the Knickerbockers.
And you also saw for Syracuse, Marius Gianoulis, number 42, come in, and Otis Hill has returned.
Right there, 33.
33 held. That's Ron Mercer.
Now, Rick Pitino, I just watching him on the sidelines, he told Walker, be careful, they're going to try to throw the ball long because they're having so much problem getting the ball in on the end line. So Walker's back here patrolling.
They don't guard the inbounds pass. Sims easily gets past the Wildcats that time. Cross court to Bergen. Gianoulis can shoot it from the outside.
And Kentucky knows that, so they're playing him tight.
Wallace drew it and led to the line.
Boy, he showed us a 25-foot jumper, and there he shows us the little jump stop for inside move. He has got a total ball game. Terrific job, and going up against McCarty, who is an excellent defender.
McCarty's first. And Wallace.
11 of his 21 points against Mississippi State came in that great drive in the last 8 minutes. He's a money player. Hit the big shot, beat Kansas. 10 in overtime against Georgia. He's had some kind of tournament.
And he has 8 of Syracuse's 13. 16-13 Wildcats. Walker so quick to get the feet planted and turn around and pop it.
The zone has so much trouble when that ball gets into that center area. How about this? Bergen being used as the primary ball handler, taking Sims out of there. Remember, Sims has those 2 fouls. Jim Boeheim trying to make sure he's not getting the 3rd foul on the offensive end.
One of his 2 fouls was a push-off on the offensive end.
And that's why Boeheim did it. Nice subtle move.
Look at that. Spinning, firing, hitting, and heading to the line.
And Jim Boeheim working one end of the court. Rick Pitino the others. Patino saying no, that call was too early, but he certainly was in the act of shooting.
He faked out Kentucky with that pass, the fake pass to the corner. And Sims, so key to the success of Syracuse this year. 18-16 Kentucky.
The young man had a triple-double this year against St. John's. Unlikely statistic, huh?
It's only been done by 4 other players in Big East history.
Good hustle by Sims. Well, if anybody wondered if the game Saturday was the JV game, so far there has been no indication, has there? You know,
staying right with them.
Yep. Syracuse had that happen to him in the regional when everybody was saying the Arizona-Kansas game was really for the championship. So they've been through it before. McCarty's in excellent position.
Dealt 3. Finally missing from the outside. Epstein gets his try. And that also off the mark.
Syracuse doing a pretty good job on long shots, rebounding tight inside.
Walker knocked that loose, and it ended up in Sims' hands. Hill. He can't find it. He hasn't scored. He's 0 for 3 tonight. Lob goes in.
Now that should have been no basket, Jim.
They count it as a 3.
Because the ball was in the cylinder when Wallace had his hands on it.
3-point basket.
That's the second one you and I have seen in the tournament. A pass that became a perfect shot.
Darnell Burton of Cincinnati pulled it off in the regional. Mercer steps in. Syracuse has the ball and a 1-point lead.
This is a nice job by Syracuse to take the ball away from out of Sims's hands.
Walker too tight on that one. Whistle for it.
Jim, we'll see it right here. See, that ball is in the cylinder.
I think he touched it.
Oh, no question about it. The ball is in the cylinder, and Wallace touches it. See, so that should not have been a basket. And definitely should not have been a 3. See, he touches the ball while it's above in the cylinder above the basket. You'll see it right here, without question, an illegal basket.
And a 3-point basket on top of it. Not like it was a 2 on an alley-oop. Hill really fighting for it. Can't get it to drop, but Wallace just pounding inside. He didn't come to play. He's come to dominate tonight. And Syracuse leads 21-18.
Danny Manning, Jim, bringing back any memories? Put a team on his back and carried him to a championship in a game that we never thought they could run with Oklahoma.
And you first started saying that when Syracuse was out in the West. It's not something you just came up with here the last 2 days. He'll carry him. I'll take him right here. Put him on my shoulders.
And how about those shoulders? Wide, aren't they? And the meat hook down inside is making a pretty good impersonation of what happened.
It down. Hill tried to draw the charge, no call.
And we're talking about Shepard was a starter last year in most of the ball games, so he comes off that bench with a lot of talent.
Oh, that pass just wild over the head of Yanulis.
Well, this is something that Jim Boeheim has to take the gamble on. Again, keeping that ball out of Sims' hands for a while.
John Wallace has 10 points, 4 rebounds, and the Orangemen lead under 8. 21-20 Syracuse, holding Kentucky to 33% from the field and out rebounding the Wildcats 15-9.
Jim, they're rebounding so strong down inside with Hill and now Wallace, who's out of there. They were out rebounded 41-21 by Mississippi State.
And Wallace getting a blow for a moment. Something you don't always see with Hill and Reed-Snyder in the lineup at the same time. Usually they just alternate, same spot. But they go together here down low for the Orange.
Well, Wallace is going to get all of about 30-second break.
Yep, just an extra second or 2.
Nice piece of coaching by Jim Boeheim, using the timeout.
Look at Hill surrounded. He traveled. And Wallace right back in.
Hill has got to understand where that double team comes from and throw opposite. Kentucky converges so well on that, and they work on it day in, day out. Rick Pitino made a nice point, too, and we've watched them practice, talking about how they go against zones 15 to 20 minutes every day. And he feels they're a pretty good zone team.
They've been 50%, over 50% for the tournament coming in here, and Shepard throws it out of bounds.
You know, that was not Shepard's fault. Walker actually should have been breaking to the basket. He stood still and just was a spectator.
They go long. Yanulis, touchdown catch. But he spiked it in the end zone, so he'll bring it back out.
Hope not as good a defender back there in center field as is Walker. They almost got by with it.
Look at Wallace on the carry of the lobe, now kicks it out. Shepard bumps into Bergen. And that's the 7th team foul on Kentucky.
You see, Wallace is so strong down inside. They tried to double team him, and he just powered the ball through. Similar to what we saw at Cincinnati against Georgia Tech.
Sapola in for Yanulis, and Epps has replaced Shepard. Bergen will shoot a 1-on-1. Really improved his free throw shooting on Saturday.
He certainly did, Jim. He was having all kinds of problems in the tournament up to that point. He was 5 for 19 prior to Saturday in the NCAA tournament. But made him when they counted against Mississippi State. Pope late coming to the middle.
Shot short. Ball free. Pope.
Jump ball.
Jump ball, they say. Yep. The arrow with the orange.
Syracuse getting some very valuable minutes out of Reef Snyder.
Let's see how they work the pressure this time.
Well, Sims back in there. He's probably going to let Bergen do it again so that they...
Well, they got 2-on-1 down here. Wallace, pull-up jumper. What a night he's off to.
He really is, Jim. He was thinking about passing that ball. Rick Pitino wants a 20-second timeout. They are going right over the top of the press.
Wallace has amassed more than half of the Syracuse total. He has 12.
Jim, you can see they're going over the top of the press. Walker that time should have anticipated, particularly with Wallace down there, that they'd go to him. That was a long pass to be able to get by with, as good as Kentucky is in the press. But they're not trying to put the ball on the floor with a dribble. They're going right over the top.
Rick Pitino and his wife Joanne will celebrate their 20th anniversary on Wednesday. It's also the anniversary date when he was hired by Boeheim as a Syracuse assistant. And their wedding night was somewhat spoiled by Boeheim, who showed up at their honeymoon hotel in New York. Said, come on down to the lobby. I want to talk about hiring you here. They talked for 2.5 hours. He got the job. Mercer, three-pointer to tie it.
A beautiful shot by Ron Mercer. Excellent follow-through.
Question is, can Boeheim spoil the second biggest night of Pitino's life?
Wallace, he was backing up on that one. That wasn't his traditional shot. Good judgment by Epps, trying to slow this thing down a little.
Off Kentucky. 5:44 to go first half. Allen Edwards will come in for the first time into the Kentucky lineup out of Miami, Florida.
Jim, you remember last year when Kentucky lost in the NCAA tournament, they played against North Carolina's 2-3-point zone. They only shot 28% that night from three, 7 for 36. They're getting a little bit too frenetic in this game. Slow down, you know they don't have to put it up so quickly.
It really looks rushed right now.
Yes, it is. It's a rushed on shots, rushed on judgment.
Delk has missed his last 4 attempts after nailing his first 3.
This is a great move by Jim Boeheim to get that ball out of Sims's hands some.
Bergen's pass kicked by Delk, and that's a break because Delk had that ball smothered. He was all over Bergen.
I'm anxious to see what happens when the ball goes down the low post to Hill and somebody starts to cut to the basket. If Hill will touch it and make a touch pass to the cutter, Syracuse is going to have a layup.
Mercer out, Walker returns.
Clear out for Bergen.
Bounce pass, tough one. And Kentucky just knocked it out of bounds. Syracuse lucky to retain possession.
That's a nice smart move by Hill that time. He thought Bergen could take his man, so he cleared out for him, left an open space behind.
Wallace pulls up again.
Good block out by Polk.
And that cost Wallace a foul.
He has to be very careful here. Referees are not going to take that kind of demonstration. Nice piece of officiating, and he goes by and tells Wallace, don't need any lip.
That's his first, Billy. The other thing, nice piece of boxing out way far out from the goal.
Oh, sure.
I mean, Polk was some 15 feet away, and he had him boxed out. Wallace thus committed the foul.
Oh, yeah, you block out away from the basket as well as down in the interior.
Textbook there for Polk. And Edmonds traveled. His first time handling the ball tonight.
Kentucky really out of sync in their half-court man-to-man. Their half-court zone attack.
Sims breaks long. Sapola comes up to take the inbounds pass. Wallace can handle it, but they'll dish it back to Bergen, who's carrying the load here since Sims picked up his second.
Wallace trying to conserve some strength. I mean, down in the scoring area, too. You don't want him bringing the ball all the way up the court. You want him as the finisher.
Bergen got the sixth man, and Syracuse back in front, 25-23.
Tim, I said loose as a goose. Are they loose as a goose or not, this Syracuse bunch?
Oh, Wallace tapped it against the backboard, the side, and it'll be Kentucky ball. Well, Bergen had some game on Saturday, Billy.
He really did, and what happened there is Epps is used to guarding a guard. Bergen is a forward. I think that Epps kind of relaxed a little bit, surprised at the explosive nature, and once he got down inside, Bergen too strong for him.
Dealt three, back on target.
The equalizer. Bergen has to be careful with that dribble.
Wildcats lead by one.
Little hand check in here by Mercer.
Walker stole it ahead to Mercer. Hill won't get there.
Two mistakes that time by Sims. Trying to make too delicate a pass, and then stood there as Mercer, who was guarding him, ran right by.
And smart 20 here by Boeheim, because this is what Kentucky does. They seduce you into that frenetic play where suddenly in 30 seconds, they've scored 7 or 8 points.
Absolutely, get that run.
Jim Boeheim in his second final. He was there in 1987 against Indiana, championship game in the Superdome. Syracuse and Indiana coming down to the final seconds. Keith Smart on the baseline over Trish for the winner. You know, they asked Boeheim yesterday how many times he's gone back and looked at the tape of that game. Never. Says it's too painful.
I remember Syracuse had a 3-point lead. Howard Trish missed the back end of a 1-on-1, could have made it 4. All of those shots could have been academic.
Little too close. That'll send Sims to the line, 1-and-1. Shepard called for that one, and Shepard has 2.
There's a case where Sims is kind of hard to figure out, Jim. He doesn't look fast, but there you had Shepard and Delk chasing him down the sideline, and he was able to stay right with him, and he's the one that was dribbling the ball. Shepard couldn't get out and head him off.
Epps keeps shuttling in and out. He returns. 1-and-1. Tipped it out on the floor, and the arrow belongs to Kentucky.
Well, they may have a foul.
Yeah, well, they got Wallace, who can't believe it.
Normally when that ball's on the floor and everybody's swarming, you can get some body contact, but I think in that particular case, John Wallace went right over the back.
Now we've got the under 4 timeout. Kentucky on a spurt, and a 3-point lead for the Wildcats. Kentucky on an 8-2 run, and Syracuse hurting itself at the free throw line, Billy, because the front end of the 1-on-1 missed, and Wallace called for his second.
Well, now we have Wallace and Hill, the two guys that are so critical down on the inside, the two in some foul trouble. You have Sims had the 2 fouls. And Jim, Syracuse, had they made those free throws, you know, they've got themselves not only points, but they don't commit those cheap fouls.
Traveling call for Pope. Let's see if Syracuse, Billy, can go the last 3.5 without Wallace or Sims picking up that damaging third.
And also from a point standpoint, it's really critical for Syracuse to stay in the game. Make Kentucky go in at halftime knowing they have a ball game on their hands.
Stiff pass, and Sapola tapped it over quickly to Sims. Just the kind of alert passing that usually results in an opportunity. But Kentucky intense here on the man-to-man.
Important for Hill to get a basket. He hasn't scored, Jim.
He's 0 for 5. Bergen saved it. Wallace will take it over him. Three-pointer ties the game, 28.
He's doing it inside, outside, and Jim, that's where that cheap second foul could be so tough going down the wire. Kentucky trying to run a man into the middle. It's Pope. He's not as good a passer as is Walker. I'm surprised Walker's not on that foul line some. Wow, that's going to go, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to go, and it's on Hill.
So now you've got Sims with 2, Wallace with 2, and Hill doesn't get over there in time.
Hey, Mercer has some big-time moves, but so does this guy, John Wallace, hitting the second 3 for the night.
Beautiful square up.
Wallace has 15. McCarty in for Kentucky.
Jim, this young man was maybe the best high school player in America last year. A lot of people thought that. Against Massachusetts the other night, 16 minutes, 4 for 6, 9 points. The game before that against Wake Forest, only 6 minutes, no points. So he's coming up big here in the Final Four.
Hill wants some help. He'll go over the top. And Walker's there to intercept. The numbers for Kentucky. They got a man advantage. Delp 3. Old Delp. Another one.
Who would you rather have shooting it than Tony Delp? No one.
He has 5 3-pointers. The most in a championship game with Steve Alford was 7 against Syracuse back in '87. And Delp with 5 already.
2:08 to go. There's the double. That's what I was talking about, Jim.
And
You hit the ball into the low post. The man will cut. He's wide open.
And Hill finally gets a bucket to drop.
Great recognition that time by Wallace.
Delp caught, but Mercer safety valve. That no-look pass. Yeah, Mercer over the top for 3. And Kentucky, Syracuse better be careful. Kentucky up 7 with 1:38 to go in the first half. Delp. Reach in.
Jim, if people haven't seen Kentucky before, and it's hard to believe that they wouldn't with all the exposure they get, he was a starter in the first 12 games of the year. Averaged 21 minutes a game was Mercer. And then Rick Pitino came to the point and said, if we're going to win a national championship, the seniors are going to do it, not Ron Mercer. He's our man for the future. Well, the future is now tonight.
So 1-1. The 9th team foul. They have blown the opportunities on the first 2 one-on-ones, and Bergen misfired on one of them. And this one.
Syracuse foul shooting problems. The 70% free throw shooting team this year. Having problems tonight.
Give up what could have been 6 points at the line, missing
Absolutely.
3 front ends.
They'd be down 1 at this point. Good touch pass by McCarty.
Sims on Epps, kicks it out. Delp for number 6. Yes.
Now that's 18 big ones.
40-30. Kentucky, you could feel the run coming. Syracuse just trying to get out of this half alive. Delp steals it. Right back to Bergen, though.
He's got to hit ahead to Sims.
Hill for 2. Oh, nasty fall. He'll head to the line, but a big thud here as Hill went up, slammed it home. Nothing intentional here.
Not at all, Jim. And there's another sign of great sportsmanship that we're seeing in this tournament. Tony Delk, look at Tony Delk with Hill. The kids in this tournament this year have exemplified sportsmanship like I've never seen before. Delk goes up, Hill defenseless because he's in the air. He has no place to go but straight down. But look at Tony Delk the whole time staying right with him. Great steal by Bergen.
A huge turnover. Up 10, Kentucky with the ball. And now Syracuse at the line with a chance to get it down to 7. It could have been 12 or 13 at the other end. So he landed right on his tailbone.
You're talking about a man with about, what, 250 pounds coming straight down with no place to protect himself. There's a free throw finally.
Reef Snyder, Yanulis in for Syracuse. 50 seconds to go in the half.
Jim, we talked about the fact that Jimmy Boeheim made the calculated gamble to take the ball out of Sims' hands, son, to rest him a little bit, make sure he doesn't pick up that third foul. But you sure want him to have the ball. Here comes that trap at half court.
Epps breaks out of it to Edwards. On the baseline, Walker. Outside Bergen.
Before the shot.
Coming up, Pennzoil at the half. Pat Quinn, George, Coach K, and Coach Herrick. They'll have their first half analysis, plus a look back at the 1963 Mississippi State team. It made history, breaking down barriers off the court. That's coming up. Pennzoil at the half. Pope comes back in for McCarty. It's a double bonus.
And 1 second, 1 8/10 second above the shot clock, so Syracuse will have to give it up.
Actually ruled that, Billy, in the act of shooting, not the double bonus. So Walker with one more. 18 fouls on Syracuse. 41-33 Kentucky.
This terrific run by Kentucky turned what seemed to be a low-scoring game into one where they changed the whole tempo of how the game is played.
Snyder.
Oh, the dangerous pass.
Especially when it's under the opponent goal.
Yanulis not a good ball handler either.
Sims wants it. He called for it. Good move.
You feel so much more comfortable for Syracuse when Sims has the ball in his hands.
Just a 1 second differential. Shot clock, game clock. Syracuse can run it down. They got the ball in the right hands. Wallace not this time. Epps breaks free. He'll launch it in time on the mark. But Kentucky with a run at the end of the half. They broke a 28-28 tie with a 14-5 run to close the first half. With the score, Kentucky 42, Syracuse 33. CBS Sports exclusive coverage of the NCAA Basketball Championship will continue after this message and a word from your local station.
CBS Sports exclusive coverage of the NCAA National Championship game is sponsored by Mercedes-Benz, Nike, Celtic Pride, and by Mountain Dew.
Biggest lead was 3, and the halftime tie is the 6th tie of the game. Let's check Billy's analysis. How about Dante's Inferno?
Well, it's not an inferno, Jim, but he is playing very well.
But he has not scored, Billy, since 12 minutes remain in the first half.
Had an effect. You can see cold as ice, but look at what Syracuse is doing. 52% shooting. Amazing.
Stepping up.
And this is the one that's on target. The reason Syracuse is where they are is Hill's 15 points.
And finally, Big John returns. Wallace.
Exactly what we expected out of this guy, a solid first half.
All right, we'll get back for the second half. Game 1 of the national semifinals continues after this message and a word from your local station.
Sports exclusive coverage of the NCAA National Semifinal game is sponsored by Genuine Chevrolet, Bud Light, Sprint Business, and by Kemper Funds.
All right, Billy, before we get the second half started, Mississippi State shot 64%, and show us one reason why.
Well, here you see the ball on the outside to Wilson. It's going to go in here. Wallace has had to come all the way over to help, and watch what happens with Dante Jones. Opposite attracts against a zone that wants to come over and try to play the postman. Dampier hits outside. Jones early on buries a 3. Now let's take a look at it in real action. Ball goes inside. Now it attracts the zone. Dampier realizes it, throws opposite. Jones hits the jump shot. Excellent play by Mississippi State.
Some of the halftime stats, if you're wondering how you can be tied by turning it over 13 times versus only one, show us, Billy.
Well, two things: rebounds, offset, and field goal shooting percentage. Jim, one of the strangest halftime stat sheets I've seen in a long time. If you said to me before this game that Mississippi State was going to have 13 more turnovers and Syracuse was going to shoot over 50%, I'd say Syracuse leading by 14 points. That's not been the case.
Yep, game tied. Otis Hill's 15 leading the Orangemen. Michelle Tafoya. Sapola too strong tells us that at halftime Otis Hill's right wrist, his shooting hand, was bothering him a bit after going 7 out of 9 from the field in the first half. So he may have gotten a little nick there late in the first half.
Yeah, and if you're an assistant coach, say let it keep hurting. 15 big points. A lot of cross-court skip passing here now by Mississippi State.
Walters, not that time. Dampier picks it off the floor. And the Bulldogs with the first points of the second half.
Jim, one of the things I think Mississippi State should try to attack early in the second half against that 2-3 is putting a man on the foul line. Hit the ball right down inside and then bang down inside to Dampier. They haven't attacked the zone in that area at all.
Wallace back in and to the line. They call that one on Dante Jones.
Walters turning around, and there's Dampier with those great hands he has going down and putting it back up inside. One of the premier centers in college basketball.
Jones picking up his first. He again had 9 first half points, but scored last with 12:01 to go in the first half. Now John Wallace. One of the real refreshing stories about a guy just 2 days before the NBA draft making a decision.
Very calculated. Had some workouts with NBA teams, but never did have an agent. So consequently, he was allowed to come back and have his eligibility.
Yeah, that foul goes against Syracuse. Otis Hill, his second.
Kind of interesting what we see right now is that Syracuse is playing out on the perimeter in their 2-3 zone, matching up. That leaves Dampier almost one-on-one with Hill inside. That'll be a problem for Hill. A lot of room for Dampier inside. See, Wallace almost playing like a matchup against Jones. Opposites attract. Dampier gets it.
Boy, Jones way off on that one. He wanted a call.
Yeah, he wanted a call. Hit on the hand.
Sapola three-pointer.
Good job by Otis Hill. Just a shocker rebound. He wasn't able to catch it, but he shocked the pack and knocked the ball loose. Nice job. Pick and roll for Wallace.
Sims missing on the three. Jones skies for the board.
Jim, we're not seeing a lot of smiles on Jones's face in quite a while.
Willard in and out from three-point land.
Mostly scowls on his face.
I think you need to get him, going again. You need to get some points from that man.
Throw some coals on the Inferno.
Very nice. Bergen and Syracuse 1 point up.
And they continue to shoot an outstanding percentage against this team. Here we see the 2-3 zone. Now they're matching up a lot more with it now than they were in the beginning of the game. That's why the perimeter shooters are not wide open.
Bullard steps in. Got a good looking shot today, that's for sure.
Absolutely, Jim. Perfect stroke. He's hit him from the outside. That's that short medium range. A lot of college players will have either the layup or they'll have the long shot, but not many guys have that inside game at 15 feet.
Yanulis for Sapola. Sapola 0 for 4 from the field.
Was dressed down by Jim Boeheim when he pulled up on that 2-on-1 fast break for the jump shot. He wanted that ball in Sims's hands. Hill really spreading out in the low post.
On the drive. 8 on the shot clock. Hill. Touched by Mississippi State. They say Walters touched it last.
Well, Walters was right in the fact that Wallace came over his back. That's why he had to touch the ball and go out of bounds. post up again by Sims.
Bergen, feet planted this time. He was all set for that three.
You can see the problems that Sims possesses when he goes down inside. He's so much bigger than Wilson. Everybody collapses, and that gives room for the outside jumper. See, nobody on the foul line, Jim. They can't pump it down inside.
Dampier went up for it, but just led too much. Syracuse leads 42-40. Wallace from the blocks.
John Wallace wanted that one back.
He says, I got to make that shot.
And he will most times.
Offensive foul on Dampier, who was trying to post up down low. That's just his first.
You can see him down the blocks. Hill hustling. Job on the inside. Dampier bangs him, and Hill does a little acting out job and gets by with it. He's got a big, strong body. Syracuse in better shape with Reef Snyder able to come in for Hill as opposed to Washington, who seemed a little bit out of character in that first half. Not that Reef Snyder tore it up, but he's got much more experience in that position.
Wallace.
Wow, are we seeing some banging with Hill and Dampier inside?
All right, Syracuse comes out. First break of the second half. Orangemen lead by 2.
Jim, here's the problem that Sims is causing. Now watch how Jones turns his head when the ball's in the low post. Bergen will take off, and you'll see Wallace go ahead and set a screen, and watch what Sims does for him. There's Jones stuck down inside. He's lost his man. There's the screen by Wallace. Bergen hits the 3. Excellent offense by Syracuse.
Roy Williams, one game away from this Final Four. Syracuse beat him in the West Final, 60-57.
Roy Williams would like to have had a couple of those jump shots against that zone that we just saw Bergen hit. The only thing that separated him from being here. See where Walters is playing. There's where Mississippi State can attack. Put the ball right in the center.
Walters doubled up this time. And Bergen out-battles him for the rebound.
It's amazing how Syracuse is making Walters be an offensive player today. Excellent strategy on their part. He's got to learn to catch it and throw it out quickly.
Hill. Over the back.
Has to be. But that was some rebound. We talked about people stepping up. Otis Hill has been outstanding in this NCAA tournament. We're talking about a young man, 22 minutes, 15 points, 2 against Montana State. Drexel, he gets 16 and 8. 19 and 11 against Georgia, and 15 and 6 against Kansas. Really picking up his game.
He hasn't scored in this half, though. Jones, been a long time, and that's one that he really needed to get that energy going on the rest of that team.
Jim, I can tell the score of the game by looking at his face, Dante Jones's face, as he plays on the court. When he's got the smile, they're smoking. When he's frowning, they're not doing so well.
He went 17 and a half minutes without scoring.
Well, it's neutral right now, and it's a close game, 42-42. Nice pump fake.
Lewis stepped in for the 2. Now Mississippi State looking for the lead again. Bullard just bounced it off his leg.
Now here's a face. You can see this is a tie score face, Jim. This is a tie score face.
Okay.
You know? Oh yeah. When he has the frown, they're behind. This is the tie score. It's 42-42. You get them in the lead, and you'll see that smile. That's going to be my stat for this game.
The man who was the MVP of the SEC tournament down in New Orleans, and then the most outstanding player of the Southeast Regional.
Jim, have we ever had that trifecta? A tournament MVP, a regional MVP, and a Final Four MVP? I don't know.
Sims three-pointer. And there's Jones.
Beaten Bergen.
Good piece of work on the boards.
Second leap is the one that did it all. Look at that bounce pass.
And Walters scores off of it. What a bounce pass from midcourt by Dante Jones.
The difference, Jim, is the big man was stationary. The bounce pass works in that case, but not when he's on the move. Great play by Jones.
Syracuse uses its 20, its second half 20.
Now watch, see where Walters is? He's stationary, almost like a guy ready to field a ground ball. That's the difference between a big man being able to catch the bounce and what we saw earlier on the run. And he shakes his head and said, I can't believe the pass myself.
His 28 against Kentucky down in the Superdome probably only exceeded as far as a performance, a better performance, by the 36 he got last summer. He had to go to summer school to get his eligibility.
36 credit hours.
And he passed 36 credit hours to gain eligibility for Mississippi State this season.
And he is talking to Bergen right now.
Syracuse has gone now over 3 minutes without a field goal. Reef Snyder has come back in. Sapola also. Foul called against the Orangemen.
It is no.
3 seconds.
I think it's going to be Wallace on a little shuffling of the feet, Jim. But I think it's really time now for Syracuse to get John Wallace into the offense.
Yeah, that was a travel. I missed that. Now 13 to go. 44-42 Mississippi State. Wow, Dampier comes down to the floor with it.
Smart play by Wallace not to try to block that. But Syracuse should not forget number 44. He needs to get in the offense.
Bergen, tough shot, got the roll though.
Beautiful jump stop.
He looks off balance almost every time he shoots it. He creates interesting shots for sure. Almost like a Stevie Thompson type.
Yeah.
Bullard inside.
No play there. That's another turnover. Bullard created the turnover before he made the pass. The decision created the turnover.
16-2 on turnovers now. Sapola scores.
Nice play by Sapola. He realized Dampier was out of position. Pump faked him and went by. Dampier may be getting a little tired. Richard Williams going back to that bench.
Sapola's first points. Jones. Dampier trying to tip it out right to Sims though, who spins away. That'll send Bergen to the line.
Jim, so many point guards will not control themselves on the break like Sims did there. That was tremendous judgment to give Bergen time to fill the lane.
Near the conclusion of every NCAA tournament game, we select the genuine Chevrolet most valuable player of the game from each team. To date, Chevrolet has contributed almost $5.5 million to the scholarship funds of America's colleges and universities. That was the third on Walters and Bergen to shoot a couple, with Syracuse leading 46-44.
This is always exciting with Bergen on the line with what's happened to him lately, but he hits it. To tie up, put the situation here, put him up 4.
Well, knocked them both down, so Bergen at the line, 48-44, Orangemen, 11:45 remaining. Syracuse on top in this first semifinal. Next, it'll be Kentucky and Massachusetts, Billy.
Jim, the great Houston alumnus Sajar, it would have to go back to 1983 again. Houston, Louisville, number 1, number 2 in the nation. The last time we saw that. Expect some explosion. It's not. Give me one.
86.
What poll?
Duke, Kansas, AP.
All right.
But it's a lot like 83, that's for sure.
Yes, it is.
It's
It
very
reminds me
similar to
of
that
that
Louisville-Houston semifinal, all the build-up for that.
Absolutely.
Tyrone Washington has come in. There he is. Picks up the loose ball, knocked loose by Reef Snyder.
Out of his element today, but Richard Williams needs minutes out of this young man, not points. I'm surprised they're going to it. Just let him get some minutes in the game.
Reef Snyder rattles it out. Jones skies. Wallace is on his back, so Wallace collects his second. And for Syracuse, that's team foul 3.
Jim, the second time in the last 2 minutes, Jones beat Bergen on a double jump. There you see Massachusetts warming up out in the lobby.
Wilson may have gotten away with a walk. Jones short on the 3.
He glided to the left on that one. Good decision. But that zone's really matching up. Not a lot of easy shots. Notice every time they swing that ball, there's somebody waiting on the shooter.
Wilson. Last touch by Syracuse, so they'll get another chance on this possession with 10:33 to go in the game.
Jim, there is one answer against the way that Syracuse is matching up, and that is to put a man on the foul line. They're matching up against his zone. It looks like a 2-3 to start, but they're matching up where the shooters are. There's the opening right in the center. That'll change that matchup. They really don't have a guy to put in there. They could put Jones in here.
Bullard just took his eye off of it for an alarming 18th turnover versus only 2. And Dampier will come in as the freshman goes back to the bench.
Jim, as I said earlier, that's the only stat about this team that jumps out at you. The fact that they had 69 more turnovers than they did assists coming into this game. Everything else had been solid.
And off the Bulldogs.
And this team, Jim, has not been behind in the NCAA tournament before today.
Except for their first round game. They had a little scare, actually, against VCU. Wallace. And Reeve Snyder picks up the loose ball as Bullard took his eye off of it.
Oh, Reeve Snyder hit Wilson in the back of the head. He's got to be careful there. 20-second timeout and a wise one.
Richard Williams, 10th year as head coach, calls the 22nd timeout.
Shot goes up. Good, powerful rebounding, and then lose the ball. Reeve Snyder coming in, and you know, Reeve Snyder and Hill, Jim, average 18.5 points, 8.8 rebounds a game. So they really share the position, and there's that push against Wilson, and Reeve Snyder got by with it. Even with 3 officials, they don't catch it all.
This is kind of a new position for this team. They've now almost watched 4 minutes elapse without a field goal, but in their first round game against Virginia Commonwealth, this team trailed by 1 with 6 minutes remaining, and then Darrell Wilson got hot, scoring 12 of the last 16 for the Bulldogs. They pulled out that victory, but they never trailed in Lexington, not for a minute.
And here again, the 2-3 matching up. Nobody in the center to break up that matchup.
And there's Wilson, the one who brought him back against VCU in round 1. Hits that shot to bring him within 4. 50-46.
A lot of guys playing a lot of minutes out here in this game, Jim. Stamina will be a problem, but it should be equalized a little bit. Dampier got that little rest he needed. Now he's got to bang against Reeve Snyder for a few minutes while he'll rest. And I think a big advantage to Syracuse on that, the way Washington has played so far today.
Bergen. Dampier blocking out Reeve Snyder.
Wilson open. That's the way to use your head. Wilson wants another jump shot.
Yeah, he's setting up for it over there.
Sure is.
They got him open. Now they come in on him quickly. Converge. He won't let him take it away this time. Dampier, though, has it slapped out. And they call the foul on Sims.
Jim, remember last week we had this ball club talking about Mississippi State, and they were so fresh in legs, mind, and spirit. Today is the first time I've seen any sign of fatigue in this basketball team.
Otis Hill for Reeve Snyder.
They took on a very deep Connecticut team, a very deep Cincinnati team, but seemed fresher at the end than their opponent. Today do they not.
This is only the 3rd free throw attempt for the Bulldogs today.
Well, that's another reason when you turn it over as much as they have, you lose a lot of opportunities to go to the line because you don't make somebody guard you.
And it's only been Dampier at the line. He's made all 3 attempts. It's an interesting form, Billy, the way he flips it off his wrist. Perfect, though, for the 4th time. And a 6-point lead has been reduced to 2.
Well, we ought to say as close to this game is, remember one thing, Syracuse's last 3 losses in the NCAA all came in overtime. They're used to close games down the wire.
And pushed by Walters. His 4th, number 4 on Big Country. The Meadowlands in New Jersey for the Final Four with Mississippi State a 5 seed against the 4 seed out of the West, Syracuse. In fact, the 5 seed hadn't made it this far since Iowa. Now there have been 6s and higher who made it, but the last time a 5 made a Final Four was Iowa in 1980.
1980.
As a matter of fact,
that team there.
Billy, there's never been a 4 or a 5 in the championship game, but that will change here in New Jersey. Walters out.
Well, they're going to try to steal a couple minutes with Hughes here to come back fresh. Now, Otis Hill has had a nice rest. He's back out there now, so both teams with the short benches just trying to get some vital minutes. Jones posting up down low on Wallace.
Wallace is up there letting him. Dampier trying to tip it in.
Dampier should have grabbed the rebound and made the putback. That was a very difficult tap back.
And Wallace and Jones are talking all the way down the floor, but Wallace,
I'm sure, is saying, bring it back in here again, fella. Now Wallace is posted up on Jones. Same position, other end of the floor.
And Wallace scores on him.
And he'll talk to him again. Hey, he's saying, bring it down here.
He's saying, come on.
Yeah, bring
He's
it in.
waving at him.
And they bumped a little bit on the inside.
Syracuse basketball. 7:23 remaining.
Here we're going to see the same play on the other end of the floor, but John Wallace, Big John, does return and then says, bring it down here, Dante. I'm ready for a post-up.
Well, we've talked so much about the Bulldogs' sloppy play, but let's give Syracuse credit here for only 2 turnovers, Billy.
Magnificent. Great judgment on their part. Points off turnover, 18-0, Jim. Amazing.
And a Kentucky team arriving just a moment ago.
Jim, let me put something in perspective about that Kentucky team. In the NCAA tournament, they have scored 104 points off their bench. As an example, Mississippi State coming to this game was 39. You know where they are today? Still at 39. Not 1 point off the bench, only 2 in the entire game.
Wallace, they'll shoot 2.
And there is what you do by bringing a man up to the middle against that type of matchup. John Wallace filled the gap. Obviously, all conference first team. Set a record this year, Jim, in the Big East with 6 Players of the Week awards.
Had a streak one time, 5 in a row, and he was the outstanding player at the West Regional. He broke Dave Bing's Syracuse single-season scoring record. Dave Bing, formerly a roommate of Coach Jim Boeheim, and his mom, Vanessa, happy with that effort. 8-point lead, Syracuse's largest of the game, 56-48, under 7.
Now they got Dampier coming up to fill the middle. There it is. That's what's available for this team. They got it, but it's available.
Dampier tips it in.
Jim, that particular offensive maneuver will work with Jones filling that hole in the middle because you got a high-low then with Jones and Dampier. It's the answer for this team. And Syracuse doing the same thing. Want to show you how to play against a 2-3 zone?
Sapala left hand missing. Dampier, who has a double-double, 10 points, 12 boards, rips it away.
Little slight change in defense by Mississippi State, seeing if Syracuse can hit something outside.
Wallace went for the steal. Bullard finds the 3. Hughes pushes it back out. Wilson, you can't leave him alone. 3-pointer.
That's real teamwork there. The extra pass. Bullard had the shot, didn't take it. Hit it to Wilson, who had a better one.
Just like that, the 8-point lead's down to 3, and a timeout called. It's a timeout called by Syracuse. 6 minutes to go.
Jimmy, we're going to see the ball coming down here. Here's one Mississippi State guy. Here's another. Watch, the ball will come out, and you hit the next open man for a better shot. Hughes out, Bullard over, Wilson up. Nice teamwork.
Syracuse ball, the Orangemen with 2 timeouts remaining, leading 56-53.
Jim, you see they're playing against the 2-3 zone, so Mississippi State making them play against the defense they've used so well. Big change by Mississippi State in their defensive alignment.
Bergen, big shot. Wow.
And that knocks that off in a hurry.
Back to a 6-point margin.
Richard Williams took a calculated gamble. That's 3 times down. They used the 2-3 zone. But here's the answer. Look at how Mississippi State putting that guy in the center. Dante Jones, there he is.
Sims deflected the pass, and Syracuse almost got another steal.
What they'll get out of this, Jim, is the ball will go into Jones. He'll be able to turn and hit down inside to Dampier, who will be covered one-on-one. He stays down in the low post and ready to break up. Nice adjustment by Bergen against that zone.
5 on the shot clock, and Syracuse steals it. It was Hill who forced it.
Another turnover, Jim. It's absolutely amazing, the turnover differential between these two teams.
20-2. And mark it down, 5 minutes to go. Syracuse with the ball and a 6-point lead.
Syracuse sure ought to know how to play offensively against the 2-3 zone. It's what they've used to get here. See it every day in practice. Because of the size of the perimeter players, this is not as effective a defense for Mississippi State as it is for Syracuse. And where did they throw it? Right in the middle of the post.
8-point lead. Jones. 2 players on him, but they'll call a foul.
Now Bergen is raising his hand because he doesn't want the foul on Hill.
And they got it on Hill, though, number 4.
Well, he tried. Jim, we'll see what I talked about. There's the 2-3 zone. See the man right in the center is John Wallace. And because the 2 perimeter players are small for Mississippi State, you can throw the ball in there much easier than you can against Syracuse.
Dante Jones will get one more. The last few weeks, he said the ball has just felt great coming off my hands, but he's not having one of those blockbuster kind of a games we've been seeing. 13 now for Jones.
Well, I said for them to win, he has to be an inferno. Now he is not an inferno. He's just kind of like a smoldering fire, you know?
Not a flame out,
nope.
but not an inferno. And there's Dampier anticipating.
Was that a smart play or not? Dampier got over there realizing he was
Sapola right back.
Another turnover.
Wallace right side, Sapola left, 3-pointer, big one. And just like that, Syracuse with the largest lead of the game, 9 ahead, under 4 remaining.
Hello, Georgia. Down in the corner, Sapola hits another big one.
Timeout, Mississippi State. Tell you, Todd Bergen also having a huge half. He's 5 for 5 from the field in the second half. Syracuse up 9. That was a Mississippi State timeout. Each team left with 2 away from a 1-on-1. And Billy, this is some second half performance by Syracuse, and Todd Bergen too, who's 5 for 5 from the field, 12 points in the half.
Doing a terrific job. We talk about guys stepping up. Otis Hill stepped up in the first half, Bergen in the second half. And right now you see a lot of frustration on this Mississippi State face of the ball club, Jim, and primarily because of the turnovers. They're really out of sync. Jones trying to slide down. Bergen senses him coming. That was a foul on the wrist, no call.
And Wallace rejects it.
And now there looks like they're going to change the defense again, go back to the man-to-man and pick up much higher.
Wallace with that rejection, and now in no hurry with 3:14 remaining and a 9-point lead.
Tough man-to-man here.
And Wilson with the hand check, and that's his 3rd, but just one more and he'll be shooting a 1-on-1.
Richard Williams took over a program that was floundering. Had him in the Sweet 16 last year and brought him here this year. Solid coach.
What a remarkable success story he is.
He's down on one knee now.
And that'll send Bergen to the line. Good man, the foul. 1-and-1 for Bergen.
But Jim, a little early for this, and you can see something that a coach has to make an adjustment on right away. They're calling hand checking very quickly.
There's Diane Williams on the left and Richard's mother on the right. Looking to expand to a double-digit lead.
That free throw looks better all the time. Jim, here is an interesting thing. Here are some outstanding coaches that never played in college. Richard Williams leading the list. Rick Majerus, Roy Williams, Cliff Ellis, and of course the captain, Louis Carnesecca, who also got his team to a Final Four.
Louis
and
played
is now in the Hall of Fame.
Played a little baseball,
but
yeah.
And observed Coach Frank McGuire coach that basketball team when he was at St. John's.
Jones, three-pointer. Wow. Had to have it. And he had Wallace on him that time. Wallace with a little wry smile as he watches Jones go to the huddle. Timeout called by Mississippi State. Syracuse 66, 58, 2:52 remaining. One timeout is all that is left for the Bulldogs. It was 9 years ago today Syracuse lost to Indiana in the national championship game down in the Superdome on a Keith Smart jumper at the end. That was 9 years ago today, and now they're trying to get back to that title game. 2:52 remaining and an 8-point lead. They've got the press beaten. Sapola ahead to 10.
Jim, full court pressure. Great piece of coaching by Jimmy Boeheim, going over the top of the pressure, anticipating it, and going long for the home run with the lead.
Jones over Wallace again.
Not a good shot. That's a shot of panic, Jim. Much too much time on the clock to just throw him up there. Now Syracuse going over the top of these smaller guards. Wow, quick calls on the touches.
And for Jones, his third, 2:22 remaining.
Jim, you give up cheap fouls like that without playing solid defense, which we know this team is capable of doing. You not only put Syracuse on the line, but now you start talking about Jones's third. He's a guy you need on the floor to shoot the shots.
1-1. We get another one. We talked about his weight for playing time. 1 year red shirt, 3 years on the bench behind Adrian Autry and Michael Lloyd.
Michael Lloyd, a man that when Syracuse lost him last year, he would have been back. They felt, well, where in the world is our point guard going to come from? Sims was the answer. Look at Jimmy Boeheim picking up a little bit full court to make sure that clock runs.
Way out there. Ball three.
Oh, good block out by Hill on Dampier.
Walters put it back up too strong.
Hill took Dampier right out of the play, put him underneath the backboard. Sapola wide open.
Saves it. And they put Sapola on the line for a 1-on-1. Coming up on the Final Four show, Pat, Quinn, George, Coach K, and Coach Herrick. They'll review this game, and we'll also hear from the winners and losers. Plus, one man has a shot for $1 million in the Gillette three-point challenge live from New York University. Plus, a look at Player of the Year, Marcus Camby. That's coming up after this one before Kentucky UMass.
Jim, on a made free throw, the reason Syracuse is picking up full court is the change in the rule that allows, once the ball is thrown in bounds, the clock does not start until somebody touches. The 5-second count used to be in play. And so therefore somebody had to touch it within 5. No longer the case, and that's why Syracuse picked up a little bit earlier. See, Sims is coming here so they can't roll the ball in bounds.
Sapola now with 9 second-half points. He really came through in this half. Sapola and Bergen. Wilson three-pointer.
They started much too early to go straight threes. At the 3-minute mark, they took desperation shots. Jones never went for that rebound.
Syracuse is going to be heading to Monday night's championship game. The Big East absent from the Final Four since 1989. They had 35 bids in all as a conference since Seton Hall went in Seattle and made it all the way to the final against Michigan.
And there is Russell Walters following out. Jimmy's a songwriter. One of the titles of his songs is I Ain't Going Home. But you know what? I'm afraid that he's going to head home.
And he may find that journey to be an awful lonely highway, Billy. That was the title of his album. Fouled out with 10 points.
You know, he talked about having the right perspective. He said, gee, I don't know about going to that Final Four. It's turkey season in Mississippi.
Yeah.
I'm going to miss 4 days of hunting. Did a terrific job, though. A great role player for this team.
How about that, Billy, though, for Syracuse, the Big East, that's had a hard time getting back to this promised land during the 90s. And this was the one team this year. They had 3 programs, Villanova, UConn, Georgetown, that many felt might be here.
The multiple.
No one expected Syracuse. Wilson with a 3. Timeout, their final one with 1:07 remaining. 73-61.
Well, Jimmy, 21-3. That's the difference in the turnovers today in this ball game. You cannot win a ball game with that stat jumping in your face, and that's what Mississippi State did to themselves. Some very faulty ball handling and some solid play by Syracuse.
Yeah, I mean, the 3 turnovers.
Yeah, Syracuse on the other.
Is just as impressive or more impressive than the 21.
Right, they have.
There's number 4.
15 assists and 4 turnovers today for Syracuse. Great ball handling decisions.
Wilson. Dampier keeps it alive. Their sharpshooter gets another turn. That's 2 straight for him. 2 straight trips. He's hit a 3.
Got a foul here. You got to stop that clock as quickly as possible. And here's why Jones doesn't want to pick up his 4th, but does.
35 seconds to go. Richard Williams, when his team advanced out of Lexington last week, he wanted everyone to know back home in Mississippi, especially all the support from the high school coaches, that he was thinking of them. He said, I'm especially proud of them, many of whom deserve to be here more than I. They just never got the chance I did. We're playing with their players. I hope they are as proud of us as I am proud of them. As proud of them as I am.
Well, he made a great tribute to David Whitney, the great coach from Alcorn State. Said, I used to go over and watch his practices and know how important it was as to how he put his team together. Man devoted a lot of time before he became a premier head coach, time to the game of basketball to improve his ability to teach it.
This really is a Mississippi team with 10 players from their own state, 1 from Tennessee, that man who goes out, and 2 from Alabama. 16 points for Dante Jones.
That extinguished the inferno, Jim. That's what they needed today, and they did not get it. Syracuse allows that ball to be rolled in.
Reeve Snyder, a couple of turnovers in the last minute. But not many before that. Dampier's slam with 18 seconds remaining.
Well, that was a good pass by Reeve Snyder just to the opponent as opposed to his teammate, because he did have a nice fast break opportunity. Jimmy Boeheim almost went to a Final Four as a player in '66. Jim, I was there in '75 when he came as an assistant coach with Roy Danforth. Got knocked off by a Kentucky team in the semifinals there. And of course, we all know about that Keith Smart shot that set him down in that very tough loss to Bob Knight's Indiana club. But it looks like he's back in the great territory for Monday night. And tell me Syracuse alumni won't be a tough ticket in this area.
Like it wasn't already, you know.
And Jim sits over there as if he's totally unconcerned. You know how excited he is inside. A great competitor.
Jones. Well, it was a magical run for Mississippi State to the Final Four, but no retreat, no surrender, no excuse. Syracuse is going to the Monday night final. They count the 3.
0.8 of a second up there. Mississippi State's going to let Wallace get it in, and Jones is going to shake hands with him.
77-69. between two Cinderellas. Everyone wondered which one would be there Monday night. It'll be the Orangemen of Syracuse. A 4 seed in the championship game for the first time ever. Syracuse will play the winner of Kentucky UMass coming up shortly. When we come back, we'll join Pat O'Brien.